really is so hard to believe. Another year has gone by. It's also amazing to realize that with a little bit of intention, a little bit of taking inventory, you can make a dramatic difference in your own year's trajectory. In this video, I'm gonna share with you the exercise I've adopted to really help me get clear on what I'm actually seeking for a much more fulfilled life. And it's a little bit different than what you see around creating goals, but it is so very simple, and I hope it helps you create clarity and create a better life, a better you. Before we decide what we're aiming at and what we want for the year ahead, let's look back to what did or didn't work this past year. And you're actually gonna need a notebook and a pen. I bought a new notebook, which will become my journal for the year, and that is exactly where I'm gonna do this activity. First, you're gonna wanna title the page with the year and what worked well. So you're just creating a list, and you're just gonna brain dump all the big and little things that worked well. As you do this, try to focus on the things that really supported you, the things that made you feel at peace, the things that brought you joy, the things that you really enjoy. We're not merely looking for accomplishments here. So just to give you some examples of what worked well for me this year, one of the biggest ones is that I completed the TBM Magnetic program. I actually have a whole video dedicated to that. I adopted guided meditation as a part of my bedtime routine. Now, I don't do this every single night, but it is a big part of my routine, and it has made a dramatic difference in many ways. I've been consistent with YouTube videos. By doing that, I've been able to prove to myself that I can commit to something, I can stick to something, I can accomplish something. I've let go of perfectionism to a degree. There's many videos I've had where I don't look so great, or I don't know that the content is that great, but I push forward anyhow. Being intentional about eating, and eating when I'm actually hungry, not eating just for the sake of eating. As you can see, these things may be super small or super big. Perhaps you found more time to be present with your family, or you're more selective now with how you spend your time. There are so many things that probably have gone well for you this year, and maybe it takes some time for you to reflect, as this is a new muscle to work, as so many of us will focus on what went wrong. And the reason why we often do that, we focus on the negative, is it's a way of survival, because as human beings, survival is one of our top priorities. So give yourself some grace and be patient with yourself in this exercise. So once you have those insights listed as far as what's gone well in the past year, take some time to identify which has made the most impact and mark a big star next to that. For me this year, completing the TBM Magnetic program has had the greatest impact. It created clarity for me. It's helped me address what I'm really seeking and build a path to get there. I have a whole video on this. I'll be sure to link it, but that's something I've done this year that's really paid dividends. And then take another moment to review that list and see what's been the most rewarding but required the least effort. And I like to mark a heart next to that, as it tells me it's something that's relatively simple that I want to be sure I incorporate for the year ahead. This past year for me, it's been using the 5-minute journal daily. This is something I adopted in November. It's already provided a great benefit. I also see that using guided meditation or guided hypnosis has been a game changer for me, and it's also very easy. And if you find that these things you've identified have themes, be sure to take note of that. As you can tell in my own examples, I find it's very rewarding for me to do my own personal work, and it doesn't require much effort. It's not super challenging for me. All right, now that we focus on what worked this past year, let's look at what didn't work so well this past year. And this is when you're gonna wanna start on a fresh page. I like to title this areas to improve on, or areas that are a work in progress. And this does not need to be a self-bashing session, rather a time to build awareness. What have you been spending your time doing that is not constructive? What are you including in your life that's creating unnecessary stress? You may find that there are some contradictions for what has worked well and what isn't working so well, and that's okay. For instance, for me, although I'm much better about tuning into my hunger and I'm much better about not mindlessly eating, I still do have the habit of mindlessly eating, and there are still times where I look to food for comfort and I look to food to just check out. So I have that for what's not working so well. I also find that I still watch more TV or social media than I do reading, which I would like to switch that ratio. Those are some examples that I've taken down. Once you have that listed out for you, you want to identify which of those kind of setbacks, which of those areas that you need some improvement on are robbing you of the most joy, and mark that with a star. Then you want to mark which of these would be easiest to improve on and have the greatest impact. And you can mark that with a heart, just like we did with the other exercise. All right, so now that we have that covered, you may want to take a break and revisit this with a fresh perspective, because it can be a lot to do all at once. Or perhaps you're feeling you have some momentum and you just want to continue on. Here comes the portion where we plan for a better version of ourselves. I then like to revisit what I wrote down from each list. And there may be some items from those lists I've created that jump out at me, and I just want to create an immediate to-do list. And instead of looking to tackle all of these things or a lot of these things at once, I look to plan for what is reasonable, what is very likely. I have this list, it's going to be a part of my journal for the year. I can always look back to it. And for some of the other entries of areas I'd like to work on, I have a reminder in my phone to revisit those monthly so that I can slowly chip away at them. And the reason why I like to do that is if I come out of the year guns a-blazing, I end up burning out really quickly. I end up overwhelming myself, and that's just me personally. I mean, I know some people like to be intense, being intense works for them, but it is important for you to be honest with yourself and to support yourself. Just as Tony Robbins said, most people overestimate what they can do. So you want to make sure that whatever you plan to do this year, based on the feedback of what worked well or not so well, you want to be reasonable. You've got to know where you've been to know where you're going. That essentially is the essence of this exercise and what makes it so different than just creating all these big goals for the year. Instead, you're taking inventory of what you did well, what you'd like to improve on, and even getting to the heart of what you're actually seeking so that you can prioritize what you want to make space for this next year. But all in all, I hope this exercise provides you clarity in creating a path for the life you really want. If you have practices that help you improve in the new year, the new month, the new week, the new day, I would love to see in the comments below. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great week.